I was used to entering rooms in a way that made the oxygen vanish. Conversations died, and time began to flow according to my script. My time was so expensive that people were afraid to breathe too loudly in my presence. I signed multi-million-dollar contracts without looking at the fine print. Not because I was reckless, but because I knew no one would dare cross a man who could erase their entire life with a single phone call. I always had Plan A, Plan B, and a man behind closed doors to clean up the mess. I lived at the top for so long that I believed failure was a term from someone else's cheap biography. And in that blinding glare, I missed the moment when someone else made the bet. I didn't see the door lock behind me. I was sure I was leading the game until I realized I wasn't even invited to the table. I was just a piece in someone else's scenario.
She was younger, but she didn't have that cheap hunger to be liked that usually radiates from women around men like me. Calm, not clingy, not over-enthusiastic. She didn't look up to me, and it was that lack of awe that won me over. I mistook it for intelligence, for a rare breed. I decided she was my silent asset, a perfect piece of the interior that asks no questions. In my world, people don't fall in love, they conduct an audit. And I chose her as coldly as one chooses a limited edition watch or a strategic partner for a merger. She was phenomenal in her indifference. She laughed where others groveled. She was silent where others panicked. I was used to people losing their composure around me, but she just dissolved into the space, becoming part of it. I looked at her and saw perfectly still water. I was so proud of my observation skills that I never even considered the calmest water always has the deepest, darkest bottom. I thought I had acquired her. In reality, she was the one letting me pay the first installment for my own catastrophe. I gave her everything. Not because she asked or manipulated me. She was above that. I gave because I could. It gave me pleasure to watch my limitless power become her everyday life. Gold cards, passwords, keys to safes, powers of attorney just in case. To me, they were just formalities, paper waste that seems perfectly safe when you're used to being the apex predator. I was certain who would dare steal from the man who is the law himself. I never dug into her biography. I never asked who she was before. In my world, the past is erased the moment someone enters my orbit. I was so arrogant, I believed my blinding now could burn away any past she had. I opened all the doors myself and removed the safety locks. It was the first crack in the foundation of my empire, deep and fatal. But I was too busy with my own greatness to hear that quiet, dry snap.
Betrayal didn't start in someone else's bed. It didn't smell of foreign perfume or hide its eyes. Everything was much more elegant, more subtle. It began with her attention, with those very questions that sounded so innocent and well-timed, with phrases dropped casually at dinner, hiding a calculated precision. I would talk on the phone about mergers, offshore accounts, and gray schemes, and she was just there, reading a book, drinking tea, looking out the window. I was sure that for her it was just white noise. She listened in a way no lawyer of mine ever did. She memorized details when I was sure no one was listening. I basked in my own superiority. It was convenient to think she was just a decoration, a silent orbit. I didn't realize that while I saw her as my shadow, she was methodically mapping my vulnerabilities. Every word of mine, every password, every partner's name, it was all becoming ammo in her magazine. I thought she was basking in my sun, but she was just calculating the coordinates for a precision strike. I missed the moment when my house cat turned into a predator on the hunt. She started moving, smoothly, barely noticeable, creating a new reality beyond my control. Yoga at 6 a.m., sudden flights, new friends with empty faces, business trips. I considered it a woman's whim. I didn't check. Why should I? I didn't have the habit of counting bills in my own wallet or checking if the foundation of my house was still there. I was certain she belonged to me as unconditionally as my own fingerprints. I looked at her bills, saw expenses for hotels and restaurants, but I only saw the price of my comfort. I didn't realize that every flight was not a vacation, but the logistics of my collapse. Every friend was a necessary contact. Every hour of yoga was not stretching, but the iron discipline of one who waits for the perfect moment. I thought she was spending my money while she was spending my time to build a bridge to the other side. I didn't check what I thought was already mine, and that became my most expensive lesson. In this world, not even your shadow belongs to you if someone else's light falls on it. When the first cracks appeared in the foundation, I didn't even look in her direction. My ego simply couldn't allow such a connection. At first, it looked like a system failure, frozen accounts, strange questions from banks that used to settle with a single glance. Then came the pauses, calls that were answered instantly, now hung in a void for hours. People who were groveling yesterday were suddenly too busy. The air around me became cold and thin. I blamed the market, the pressure, a cyclical crisis. I was a pro player. I had survived storms that sank others in minutes. I was used to problems being enemies, attacking head-on. I couldn't have imagined the enemy was already inside the citadel. While I prepared my army for a great war, someone quiet and invisible was cutting my communication lines. I thought I was fighting the system, but someone was just watching as thread by thread my life's work unraveled. My world didn't collapse with a bang. It just stopped responding to me, like a paralyzed body. I opened the door with my key, and the silence inside hit harder than any explosion. It's over. There was no chaos in the apartment. It didn't smell of betrayal or a rushed departure. On the contrary,
There was a haunting, sterile order. Emptiness? It didn't scare me, but this emptiness was different, complete, a place where nothing else can happen. I didn't lose because she disappeared. I lost because everything was too clean. No broken mirrors, no theatrical hysterics. She didn't even leave the scent of her perfume. She erased herself from my space so thoroughly as if she had never been here. On the kitchen island of black marble stood a single glass, dry, and next to it a short note. No accusations. The text was concise, like a court sentence. Every letter was written by a hand whose pulse didn't skip a single beat. I realized hysteria is a sign of weakness, but absolute order after leaving is the ultimate form of contempt. She didn't just leave. She closed a project that was no longer profitable. The word escape implies fear, haste, and looking back. She didn't run. She walked out, calmly, through the front door of my life, without raising a single suspicion from the guards. It was an elegant, surgical intervention. She took everything, using my own tools. Every transaction was legal. Every signature on the documents was mine, real, firm, signed at moments when I was too confident in my power. She didn't break into my safes. I gave her the keys myself. She didn't steal my money. She redistributed it. She didn't destroy my structure. She took charge of it, simply cutting me off from control. It was a perfect inside raid, executed by a person I considered my shadow. The most humiliating part was she used my favorite schemes, the very combinations I told her about in the evenings, like bedtime stories. She listened and learned. I thought I was taming her, but in reality, I was training my own executioner with my own hands. She took my method, my signature, and my pride, leaving me to watch how my own hands built my isolation. I stood in the middle of this sterile apartment, waiting for the rage to come, but there was only silence, emptiness, and with it, real pain. You know, losing numbers in an account doesn't hurt. Money is a renewable resource, just dust on the shoes of those who know how to make it. Influence can be returned, reputation can be polished. It's all external, just husks. Real pain is the icy realization that you were calculated, read like a file. For the first time in your life, you weren't just deceived, you were read like an open book in large print. All my monumental control, all my icy composure, none of it was armor. It was a textbook. I felt like an anatomical exhibit. It turned out that while I was playing the great hunter, I was merely a territory, methodically studied, marked with flags, and prepared for division. The scariest part is realizing you weren't a person to her. You were an object, a project, a case study. My life, which I considered an impregnable fortress, was just a glass aquarium. She watched me through the glass, took notes in her pad, and waited for me to swim to the feeder. I wasn't betrayed. I was dismantled for parts. I could have found her. In my world, there are no people who can't be reached. There is only a difference in price.
I know how the structures work, those that erase people from reality. I have enough connections to turn her new life into an endless nightmare. I looked at my phone and realized one call and the mechanism would be triggered. The hunt would begin. But I didn't press the call button. And no, it wasn't nobility or a sudden spark of love. It was cold calculation. To seek revenge is to admit that she still lives in my head. To seek revenge is to continue a dialogue in which she has already placed a final period. If I start looking for her, I confirm that her strike reached its target, that I am a wounded animal, and I didn't want to be wounded. Revenge is for those who were robbed, but she didn't just steal my money, she stole the illusion of my uniqueness, and that doesn't come back with hitmen. Finding her would be too easy. Living with the realization that she was better, that is the real torture that I chose for myself.
Because at some point, amid the silence of empty rooms, it hit me. She didn't win because of a genius mind, or even because she was craftier. It was much simpler and much more terrifying. She won because I was absolutely, unshakably certain. You can't do this to me. I believed that I existed in a different league where I wrote the rules. My arrogance became my blind spot. I thought I was too great to be betrayed, too powerful to be deceived. I thought I was the constant and everyone else was a variable. And that is what broke me more than the loss of assets. It wasn't her betrayal that pulled the rug from under me, but the realization of my own mediocrity in her eyes. To her, I wasn't a god or a titan. I was just a secure interface through which she accessed the resources. It wasn't her action that destroyed me, but my own ego, which all this time served as her best ally. She didn't crack my safes, she just waited for me to leave them open. Realizing that your primary armor was made of cardboard, that's what leaves the scars that never heal. I was left alone. But it wasn't that noble loneliness of a leader they write about in books. I used to think being alone at the top was a privilege. Now loneliness has become my sanctuary, my only clean zone. I no longer believe in intimacy. And no, I haven't turned into a hurt boy afraid of pain. I can survive pain. I don't believe in intimacy because now I see the mechanics of the process. The most dangerous person in your life isn't the one who screams. The most dangerous is the one who stays silent, observes, and watches you for too long before delivering the single strike. Intimacy is the voluntary transfer of the detonator into someone else's hands. I no longer want to see anyone studying my habits. Every display of tenderness now feels like data collection. Every long gaze a target practice. I chose silence not because I have nothing to say, but because I no longer want to provide material for my next destruction. Loneliness stopped being my crown. It became my bulletproof vest, heavy, uncomfortable, but vital.
I no longer believe in the concept of us. To me, that word sounds like a linguistic trap, a way to lower your guard before a stab in the back. Shared plans, just a convenient legend behind which everyone hides their own agenda. Trust based on words is just a delay of the inevitable betrayal. Now my religion is distance. I only believe in distance that keeps hands away from my throat. I believe in silence because in silence it's impossible to lie. In loneliness without illusions, I've stopped looking for my people. In my world, there are only allies of convenience and potential threats. The only difference is the price and the time they need to maneuver. Living without illusions is like breathing icy air. It hurts, but the head becomes crystal clear. I no longer expect understanding. I don't look for warmth. Warmth makes you soft, and softness is a luxury I can no longer afford. I traded the right to love for the right to be invulnerable. And, looking at the empty horizon, I realize it was the most honest deal of my life.
I am winning again. The mechanism is launched. The gears turn with perfect precision. I am back on that very summit with the best view of the city. People smile at me again with that special smile meant only for winners. Accounts are open, influence restored. My name is whispered once more. Outwardly, everything is back in place, but inside there is a desert where I will let no one in. I no longer believe that there can be someone by my side who doesn't count the moves. Looking at any woman, any partner, I no longer see a face. I see a chessboard. I don't hear words. I calculate attack vectors. She did something irreversible. She amputated my ability to think that I am a winner. She proved to me that intimacy is a system error, that living in a vacuum behind bulletproof glass is the only survival strategy. I stand at the top, and it is damn cold, but I know that no one can get close enough to push me off. She didn't win when she took my millions. She won at the moment I agreed with her main lesson. Safety is more important than intimacy. And that is, perhaps, her most precise and most merciless victory.